World Financial Group offers entrepreneurs from all backgrounds the opportunity to start their own business on a level playing field. Dr. Yana Woodhouse, receiving the WCM Wall Street Pioneer Award by the United Black Wall Street of America, Inc., is one of those entrepreneurs.
I see WFG and TFA as a place where African Americans with an entrepreneurial mindset can flourish. And the bonus, we help families and serve the communities across the country.
To learn more about us, go to worldfinancialgroup.com.
We are the sons and daughters of the soul. We are resilient and forever forward thinking. We ask for nothing else than the opportunity to live and to create the lives that we were meant to live. We want nothing but an equal chance at options and possibilities. The same possibilities and options to live out our potential as our fellow man. We want to be heard, understood, and expressive in our reality. We are the future. We are the creative. We are here.
This is Kia Rogers, and you're listening to Urbanology with my dad, Tony Rogers, on WHCR 90.3 FM, New York.
Good afternoon. This is Tony Rogers, your host for Urbanology, The Art of War. And I say this often, but for those who may be listening or viewing for the first time, my birth name is William Anthony Rogers, which is war. And I've taught for many years and studied the Sun Tzu version of The Art of War. So it's kind of a play on words. I have a book, The Art of War, W period, A period, R period. So that's kind of like a little understanding of where all of this came from. The lyrics was two brothers who, one is still here, one on Ashford is no longer with us, but William Spaceman Patterson was a tremendous musician. Did that for me when we first started many, many years ago. A little history. Um, we are working in, I guess, I would say the Harlem Tourism Board is working on a new initiative, goharlem.org, which will allow for individuals who are interested, whether they're in the greater Harlem area or outside of the United States, to learn the different places and different things that are happening in this community. It's something that was done on paper in 1979 with the Chamber of Commerce. We created a map, a Greater Harlem mapping guide. But in this new era, and things change so rapidly, doing something like this on a site is probably makes a little bit more sense, and plus things are happening. So I've been going around about a week before last. If you was able to see the show, we had Dakota Pippin on, who coordinated the first annual Harlem Jazz Festival, which was April the 14th to the 23rd. And 10 days, 17 venues, 38 events. It was kind of wore me out because I tried to make all of them. It was really fun. I hadn't done that in a long time. And many of the events I didn't know about, which allowed for me to become more focused on the GoHarlem.org concept of beginning to bring Harlem alive to people who are in the community, not to mention those who may be wanting to come into the community. And just yesterday, I had a Zoom meeting with the individuals from the I Love New York campaign from the state, Russ Levy and Nana Jones. And as I think I made the announcement some time ago, I wrote an article, and it is on the GoHarlem.org blog area, about the governor's new initiative of creating a 2-year marketing campaign using the I Love New York platform to encourage African and Caribbean Americans to come to New York State. So there's a lot that's going on. We have a new hotel that's coming up, and all of those things. But in my desire to try to talk and make relationships with the different tourism and tourism related businesses in Harlem community, to first let them know what's going on and to encourage them to come together so that we could use this state initiative to really do what we can do, because I'm sure that there will be a lot of people from around the world who would like, of the diaspora, that would like to go to Niagara Falls, because there's a wonderful underground railroad program there, and there's so many other things. But when you promote New York, Harlem is going to stand out, and it would be great for a collective approach, a collective marketing approach to allow for that to be beneficial from an economic development component. So my guest for today, and I believe that she's on, is Nicky Sunshine, and Nicky and her husband have a number of things going on, but they are the owners of Comedy in Harlem, which is a wonderful comedy club that has been going on, and we'll talk about how long it has gone on. But that's one of the things that I feel that's important. One of the marketing opportunities that we have to marketplaces like that, that people who are listening to this or viewing this program probably will not be aware of. So thanks to Soul City and WCR and other vehicles, we can start to promote that and put a lot of that content on GoHarlem.org. I believe that will help us all in this community to take advantage of the tourism and hospitality industry that's going to grow rapidly now. So if she's on, I would like to invite Nicky Sunshine to come on so that we can talk with her. I know that. Hey, Nicky, how are you?
How are you?
I'm great. Thanks for. I know that you've gone through some things, but I'm glad that you were able to work those things out.
That's okay. A Black woman is going to get it done.
Well, I had the opportunity to talk a little bit about what you and Jamie, right?
Yes.
Have put together in the Comedy in Harlem Club. But tell a little, tell us, because I want to put a face behind the brand. So give a little bit of information about who you are, and we'll lead into how you started this comedy in Harlem
Yes,
initiative.
yes. Thank you so much for having me on. Yes, well, I'm a native of Virginia, of the Northern Virginia area,
Mm.
and I always had a passion for performing. Went to Northwestern and graduated with a degree in German studies and international studies, and I went to Europe and I performed in Germany for a while, and came back and came to New York. Since I was 16 years old, New York, it was my passion. The city called me, and I truly believe that New York City is the best city in the world. So many cultures, so much theater and history and culture and museums, and I moved after a while. I lived in Midtown, and then I moved to Harlem. And a friend of mine introduced me to the Harlem Renaissance, that whole era.
Mm.
And I had a chance to do some off Broadway work, did a lot of performing, on camera opportunities, and back in the early 2000s, started to do comedy all over the city. Really started downtown at McDougal, at a place called Sal's Comedy Hole, and they had a bunch of different auditions for NBC and all different things. And so I started doing like all women troupe type comedy shows, and then started performing all over the city, and got a chance to meet a number of people. Back then, my husband, at the time, he was just a friend. He was producing shows, and I was producing my own shows. And then in 2014, he had booked me for a show, and I just took a gamble. I said, "Hey, you've got two kids, right? You want another one?" And then the relationship bloomed. But we had the help of cognac, because cognac always kind of oils the situation. So after that, we clicked, and right away we got an opportunity to have our own reality show. We had our own reality show, 10 episodes on the FYI network, and it really helped solidify our relationship. It was called A Question of Love, and the concept was you had to ask each other a bunch of questions to see if you were a good match, and then you had to move in with the person for X amount of days. And as you know, with reality shows, it's no fun if there isn't drama and tears and insults and all of that. So we did all of that, and we survived, and it actually brought us closer together. And he supported me in my comedy endeavors. I supported him. He produced a number of shows at the National Black Theater
Mm.
and really packed the house, and became known as a great host and a great producer. And from the National Black Theater, uh, got an opportunity after the pandemic to take over a space. And then this comedy in Harlem movement started very organically. We weren't necessarily looking to open a comedy club. It was an opportunity, like, okay, well, we have a space. Let's do a show. Okay, let's do another show. All right, well, maybe we should kind of get a lease from the landlord. And then just one thing clicked after the other. And people in sales and marketing say, find a niche, find a need, find where you fit in, where you can stand out from the others. And we really have created that with Comedy in Harlem, because historically, there was the Uptown Comedy Club, and they're having a 35th year anniversary on May 11th at the Alhambra. But
Mhm.
since that particular club, there has not been an actual venue, a comedy venue for urban comedy, for Black comics, for Latino comics. There has been Caroline's, that was a staple on the comedy scene, Gotham Comedy Club, Broadway Comedy Club, and all these comedy clubs we have performed at, my husband and I, but we believe that ownership is empowering, and it's also a must for our community to provide jobs, to provide a space where our people can gather and feel comfortable. It has really, really it's spread like wildfire, and people are so excited to come to our venue and see what we're doing, and they see that it's something different than the other clubs are doing, and we're so passionate about it. It's just like our another child to us. Whether it is lucrative or not lucrative, we continue to pour our efforts, our energy, and our passion into it every day. As a matter of fact, my husband, he would join us now, but he's on a separate Zoom, talking to some folks about an event that's happening, a fundraiser that's actually going to raise money for an elementary school in Harlem who has
Mhm.
suffered hardship. They had to lay off a bunch of teachers. So
When is the
that's
fundraising?
that is going to be on May 23rd. May
Mm.
23rd. Yes. We're not organizing it. It's a bunch of, I think Bevy Smith is supposed to host it. They have a number of comedians, Keith Robinson.
Right.
He's a regular down at the Comedy Cellar, and some other notable folks are going to be there to put in. And the organizers were specific that they wanted to produce at a black owned venue, and they wanted an all black lineup. So I used to shy away from, well, you don't want blackity black too much, because then you're gonna scare away the white folk. We don't want to scare away folk, but since this whole George Floyd movement, corporations and organizations are not as shy about saying, no, we need initiatives for Black people,
Mhm.
because Black people are owed, and it is due time that we support these businesses.
Mhm.
And we're in this time, and we are looking to receive all the support and the love, and we in turn push it right back onto our community.
Well, Nikki, a couple of things. One, uh, if you have Jamie or you send me a text about the fundraising, maybe I can, promote it either in the WCR or do an article or something about it to help promote it, which is what all of this is about. I started becoming aware many years ago that the media is a very important vehicle as it relates to being able to allow for your narrative to be uncorrupted. and and the more influence that one might have in communicating certain things to a large number of people, because it only really takes one sometimes, if it's a good message, to get that message to that person to spark a lot. But through Soul City and WCR and Harlem Community News, I've learned that if you're blessed with certain types of opportunities, there's an obligation to make sure that you fulfill that blessing, else you run into some issues. That's how the gods work.
Absolutely.
I am so happy that you have agreed to become a member of the Harlem Tourism Board,
Yes.
because
Yes.
I think that there's a lot that we can do together and further some like-mindedness. But that's usually how it goes. Things happen when they're supposed to happen.
Mm.
And if you're thinking in a certain way, you attract that type of energy. So that's why you also have to be very careful about what you think for, because if you're not happy with your life, well, you might want to change the way you think,
Mm.
because it might create an issue. But tell us a little bit about how people can get to the comedy club. What are the hours? What's the website? And,
Yes.
and then we'll get back into some of the other things that you're doing. But before you do that, I don't want to lose the thought. in your performing, you said that you did things in Europe, and
Yes.
what do you do? Are you a comedian? Are you a singer? Are you an actor? Or a combination of all of those
I'm
things?
a combination of all of it. I fake it until I make it, and I'm still faking it. And things have happened so organically. I got the opportunity. Well, when I was at Northwestern, I was in like the College of General Studies, and I wanted to transfer to the School of Speech to major in theater. And so at the time, the dean, Kathy Martin, she told me no, you can't transfer, and it just kind of shut me down. And I didn't really have any advocates. Some parents are involved and some parents aren't, but I didn't really have any advocates. So I just said, you know what? I'm going to go to Europe. There was an opportunity. My German teacher, she said, you're really great at the language. Why don't you go to Munich? There's an opportunity to go to Munich for a year. And so I said, you know what? Why don't I do that? And when I got to Munich, uh, of course we studied, and of course there was beer drinking, and of course we went to nightclubs. And I met a producer, and it turned out to be the producer that worked with Milli Vanilli.
Mm,
And he actually produced, because Milli Vanilli, they're from Germany,
hmm.
and him and his brother produced Milli Vanilli, and they were looking to put together an R&B group. So I was a part of that group, and we performed around town at different hotels and things like that. And then we recorded. I recorded with John the Scat Man. There are a whole bunch of artists floating out there in
Hmm.
Asia and in Europe that you may not even English speaking artists that maybe they wouldn't get play on the air here. And so I recorded with one gentleman, and actually his album won a Grammy. He was called John the Scat Man.
Okay.
So recorded a bunch of different things with them, but just like Milli Vanilli, that scandal was that they had other folks singing for them. And this
Mhm.
happens a lot in the music industry. There were certain things I got credit for, but I did not get paid for.
Okay.
So that gentleman now is rolling in the millions. He's written for Beyonce, anybody you can think of, Tobias Gad. He's out in LA somewhere. I got to go try to panhandle outside his studios. Hey, remember me? You want to make a donation to my comedy club? But at any rate, I love to perform. I love to be on stage. I'm an actress first, was member of SAG since 2001, done a bunch of different projects, even for the federal government, if you can believe it, doing some training for the State Department as a role player.
Mm,
I've done that almost 20 years.
mhm,
And a comedian, actress, singer, and of course, the universe brought me to New York City, the epicenter of the performing arts. And so with comedy and hard, we're located at a 117th Street in Pleasant. So we're all the way east, all the
mhm.
way by the FDR. And it's if you're going to take the 6 train, there is a train on 116th Street, but it is, as some of our friends on the Lower East Side say, it's a schlep.
Yeah.
It's a schlep from the 6 train. So it's 3 long blocks from
Well,
the
you can
6
take the
train.
crosstown bus too.
Yes, yes, absolutely. I would recommend you take the crosstown bus if you don't mind smelling stinky underarms on that bus, because it's guaranteed somebody gonna be funky on that bus. The-
Remind me when Eddie Murphy said that he went to Africa, but but then that's a whole different concept there as far as what
so
we're
so
talking
yeah,
about.
so we're all the way east, and we're actually kind of a part of or adjacent to a very unique shopping center in New
Yeah.
York City. You don't really We have one Costco in all of New York City, and
Hmm.
it's right by where we are. And as a
Yeah.
matter of fact, it's a Costco, a Marshalls, an Aldi's, a Target, all these different things in one complex. And lo and behold, an affordable parking center. You can park for $6 an hour. Woo! That's unheard of in Manhattan, because you'll be paying $54 an hour if you're parking in Times Square for anything. So we got so lucky. We're right by affordable parking. The most you're going to pay for 4 hours of
Mhm.
parking is $18. So we're pretty excited about that. But yeah, so we're located in a really, it's kind of like a hideaway type of space. We're on the second floor of a building that's right above Lighthouse Fish Market. So you have to go up the stairs and then you walk in, and comedians joke about it all the time. Like, who in the world invited me to this basement on the second floor? What is where am I? What is this? Who tricked y'all into coming to this? And so it's a very unique space. You
Mm.
feel very comfortable. It doesn't really feel like a commercial space. It almost feels like you're in somebody's home or somebody's rec room, and you just feel very comfortable to relax and enjoy yourself and laugh. And one of the problems that we have is sometimes people don't want to leave after the show. If you're playing some good music for certain folk, they're going to lounge and they're going to stay and they're going to do the electric slide and the boogaloo. And it's like, okay, y'all, we're closed. Oh, well, we want one more dance, or we want one more this. So people really feel comfortable in our space, and we want them to feel comfortable.
Well, I am. I can attest to that. I was able to come to your location for a good friend, Phyllis Thickley, when she appeared. And that was, I think, one of the coldest nights in the year. So it was real cold coming to the. Fortunately, we found a parking space not too far away. But boy, I wouldn't. I don't think anybody was do that walk that day, because they would be frozen in place.
Oh, yes.
But it was so interesting, as you indicated, is close that had some real good food too, and of course Phyllis is always Phyllis. But yeah, it was a very interesting experience, which is why now that the weather has changed, when it gets warm, you can actually walk from the 6 train. It's not
Right.
that, because there's a lot of interesting things, on that way. But the mall is also an interesting place. I don't know what time it closes, but you might be able to, do some shopping before you go to the
Hmm.
club,
Yeah.
because they have a lot of different types of things
Yes.
there. So we were talking about some of the other things that you do. You have mentioned that you and Jamie have a radio program, or net. You're on a network that you talk to people. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yes, yes. So we are fortunate enough to have a digital station. It's on iHeartRadio, and it's called 108 Soul, the soul of New York.
Mm,
That's who we are. We are the soul of New York, and we play R&B and classic hip hop. So it's really feel good music. Luther Vandross, we're playing Smokey Robinson, some new stuff too, John Legend, all the hip hop from years ago, Eric B and Rakim, Nas. And so it's just a really cool station. Music that you want to listen to when you're at your cookouts, when you're at your parties. We
mm,
have some really dynamic DJs. We're actually celebrating our third year anniversary with a
mhm.
boat ride on June 17th. We're
Okay.
having a white and gold boat ride, and we have grown our station to 300,000 listeners a month. And
Wow,
so we have listeners all over the world, the Netherlands, Africa. People really love R&B music.
that's
And
true.
I am a radio personality. My show is called Wake Up with Sunshine. So my show is on from 9 a.m. to 12 a.m. I do some pop culture news, short snippets.
9 a.m. to 12 noon.
PM. Yeah, to noon. Yes,
Okay,
on
because I was going to say
Saturdays.
that 9
Did
a.m.
I
to
say
12.
12 a.m.?
Yeah,
9 a.m. to 12. That's a hard working
that's
system.
a hard. I was saying, God, you worse than James Brown.
That's Florida Evans there.
But
Yeah.
yeah, that's interesting. Now, for listeners, how do you get? Do you have to subscribe for iHeartRadio? Or how do you get?
So
Uh,
it's an app. So you can go to your app store on your phone,
right.
and you can just type in 108 Soul and
Mhm.
it'll pop up, or you can go to our website, 108soul.com, or
Mhm.
you can go to any of your devices
Mhm.
and say, Alexa, play 108 Soul on iHeartRadio, or on iHeartRadio, and you will be able to hear our station.
So in the app is 108. So that's good to know,
Yep.
and we'll have to repeat that so that people can hear that. As you know, WACR, I am familiar with how the world loves R&B. WACR is a station on 90.3 FM that plays all kinds of music because it is housed at the City College, New York,
Mhm.
which I was there.
I have been, and I respect that station tremendously. So much diverse programming and a lot of information coming
Yeah.
out of that.
So I helped Angela Harton. Actually, I hired when I was at City College. I hired Angela Harton and helped to raise the funds to take it out of. It was a small little uh, uh, room because it was used for training students who wanted to get into the broadcast on the boards. And at that point, it uh, covered most of Harlem and some of the Bronx. It was limited. But then when the internet started to become a reality, Angela came to me and said, "Look, we have an opportunity here to make this station become the voice of Harlem because we have gospel, we have all of the different types of sport, we have all of the different types of things that people are interested in." And so we got together. I was able to write a proposal to the then borough president, Virginia Fields, and we got a substantial amount of money to begin that process. And it kept going, and we kept doing it until we were able to open up a state of the art studio, and it continues to be the voice of Harlem. The what has happened is that based on COVID, because one of the things that I wanted to do was to have a show, the Urbanology show, which you see in it. And then when COVID hit, we started doing uh, shows from home, because I
Mhm.
couldn't get into the studio. And that became good to me. So I don't always drive to the studio anymore. I do my I tape it on Monday, and actually a lot of my shows are. I have a show going on now, on the radio and a show here. So this is kind of a marketing component. But I guess the point is to allow for an understanding is that we have such an ability to communicate to a number of people. Is just making sure that we are in the the receiving end of some of the information that's necessary. I remember we were talking about jobs
Mm.
and how we can try to find ways for especially well, male and female, but in many cases black male.
Mm.
And not only that, with the new cannabis issue being resolved to a certain degree, um, many young people will be coming out of uh, the prisons to try to find ways to get their life back together. And so that's on one end. On the other end, there's so many different opportunities as it relates to in the ecology. There's billions of dollars that will be coming in as far as jobs dealing with the ecology and then cybersecurity and all of those types of things. So what is important is that using these types of vehicles shows that people listen to communicate and give information as to how, and of course, the tourism business, the tourism industry has, in many cases, saved cities and states. I love New York campaigners because the state in the city were in problems at a certain period of time. So, of course, all of these types of things can create jobs. We just have to be in a position. Of course, there's always going to be a need for more, based on the need that has been put on us for so many years. To get out of that, you have to do a lot. But as I mentioned to you, what I feel is one of the greater tragedies is to have opportunities sitting there and people who have need not knowing how to get to them. And I see that that's our responsibility. That's a
Absolutely.
responsibility
I think,
we have.
yeah, I think in our community we have a tendency to look who's the next black leader. What are they who's the next great black savior? And what is Obama doing? And what is Al Sharpton doing? And I think we have to really change the approach and say, if you have a voice and you have a platform, you have a responsibility, and you yourself, you are a leader. And the powers that be, ABC News is not the news cycle. They make dollars off of however they make dollars, but it's certainly not giving attention to all the needs of the community. And so as leaders, whether it be in tourism, whether it be business leaders, I feel that we have a responsibility to kind of have conversations, be a connector, try to help someone. If you know information, share that information. Try to, because it's not all about commercial, monetary, transactional. Yes, yes, yes. If you don't have a safe community, you're not going to have customers. So really, my husband always says, one hand washes the other, both hands wash the face. So we really need, as leaders, we need to look at some of these issues and say, okay, well, what can I do? Like, I have a one woman show. My one woman show is called Confessions of a Massage Parlor Madam. And I was a massage parlor madam. That is a part of my testimony. I owned massage parlors in Midtown at one
You did.
time, three or four of them at a time. And a lot of money was made, but people got hurt. And it's a whole bunch of stuff that happened. And now I feel it is my responsibility to let young people know, you need to keep yourself safe, because I could have died. My friends were assaulted, bad things happened. And so I'm not here to preach. I'm here to share information. And there's so much going on in our community with sex trafficking and black women going missing. And I tell these young people, they're not going to look for you like they're going to look for Becky. So you need to make wise choices, and you need to keep yourself safe. And it's not always about a dollar. Our popular culture pushes this concept of money over everything. Money is our God. Money, money, money. And people are doing some really silly things for money. I did silly things for money, and they weren't the wisest things, but there are consequences to that. And I say thank God, and I credit God, because my faith, I am a Christian woman and I believe in Jesus Christ. And I'd say I prayed for help, and I really feel like God sent me help in my partner, which is my husband, because he was instrumental in helping me get out of that life. And so I'm not shy. I'm not ashamed. I have used my stumbling block as a stepping stone to tell my story about what I went through, and really try to share with certain young people, especially in the Bronx. I did several shows in the Bronx for organizations and for children as young as middle school, brought detectives from the crimes unit, from sex trafficking unit, to talk to the community and say, hey, this is what's happening in your community. Did you know? Blah, 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 blah. And so some of these parents were just kind of like in shock. And it's like, you need to, ABC News doesn't have the time, or doesn't want to take the time to tell you A, B, C, D, E, but you can get the information here. So that's not necessarily, I mean, my show has comedy in it, but these are the types of things, because we have a space
Mhm.
and we're empowered to do whatever we want to do in our business.
Right.
These are the types of things that we do. And
Mhm.
not only comedy, but we also do on Sundays, we do something, we call it Bless Up the Mic. So it's pretty much a clean comedy because some people don't want to hear all the F bombs and certain things. People coming after church, they want to hear clean comedy and gospel music. So we have that. We had the chaplain, Chaplain Rice, who deals with so much trauma with gun violence and seen so many deaths, come to our space. I didn't even know who he was. He came to the space. He looked at what we were doing, and we were having a good time in the comedy club. And he said, this is a great thing. We need this in the community, so we can build and imagine the world that we want to have when we are in a position of power, when we have the economic means. We don't necessarily have to go begging as somebody, hey, can we do this and that in your space? Can you do this? Can you do that? No, we are now able to do what we want to do for whatever we can imagine. I just produced a talent show, a teen talent show for the teens in the Bronx and Harlem, because I really believe that being on stage and having a microphone is empowering. One positive experience may steer a young person to say, you know what? Maybe I am good at public speaking. Maybe I do want to be a broadcaster. So positive experiences for our young people are so important to set them on a positive course for their livelihood. I really believe in that.
What are the hours for comedy in Harlem?
Well, we typically do most of our business on the weekends. So on Friday and Saturday, we always have an 8 o'clock show. Very often we have a 10 o'clock show. Then on Sunday, we do a show. Bless Up the Mic is at 3. And sometimes, like this Sunday, we're also doing R&B music. We have an open mic for singers and a live soul band. And then on Monday nights, we have a show at 8. But we have so much going on. We're doing something really special for Mother's Day. You could go to our website, comedyinharlem.com, and you
Mm-hmm.
can see all the things that we're doing. We also give people that are new to the stage opportunities to perform. So on Wednesdays and Thursdays, we have an open mic, Tony. So if you want to come down and tell some philosophy jokes, I don't know if philosophy and jokes go together, come on down and maybe see if you can't put people to sleep.
Well, again, you'll probably put me on when you want to kick people out, so you'll probably start to leave. I'll be the last act. But I can, as you talk, my mind was just spinning. I think I might have mentioned it to you. All things happen for a reason. I'm so happy that we have been able to connect. There are so many different things that I'm sure um, we can talk about. One of the things also that brought me to, I had a show about, oh, um, maybe about 2 months ago. Dr. Ali is a sister who has done incredible work dealing with the whole sex trade, and she kind of laid out all of the things about how Texas was a hub, and how, and she goes out and helps women who have no medical insurance or what have you. So there are so many different things that are out here that we don't know about, or we might not, we might walk past someone and not know that they were dumped here and they don't have any place to go because they were pregnant and there were no more use, and the like. And it allowed for me, and a lot of people called me and said, we had no idea about these types of things. We were glad to be able to see uh, this show to enlighten us. Not only that, but to have our daughters look at some of the things that happen, because what you're saying is true. Money is always the carrot, and money tends to create a situation where, as you say, you do silly things. But I'm interested in seeing your show. That's a pretty interesting book too, as far as you being a madam. I think that um, we have experiences that sometimes allow for us to be prepared for certain things. That's the concept. All things that happen in your life is preparing you for that next step, that next journey. And if you get through it, it means that you're ready for the next phase of what's going on. And sometimes you don't realize that at the same time somebody else is moving through their journey, but at a certain point you're going to cross because of the like mindedness of the things that you have been doing. But uh, there is a greater scheme of things. I do believe that. I'm not, from a philosophical standpoint. I studied religion, so I have a different
You know,
concept about that. But spirituality is real.
you know how you were saying the initials in your name, war, and that's what your book is, right? So, sometimes things can be a coincidence, but sometimes things happen very whimsically. And I kind of like to look deeper into things because I believe in the magic of spirituality. And my birthday is on 8/28, and that also happens to be one of my favorite scriptures, Romans 8/28,
Mm.
which is all things work for the good for those who love the Lord. So, even and I'm from Southern Baptist roots, you know, God can take any experience and turn it around and use it to elevate you. And there's so many stories in the Bible that kind of show that. And so, just like you said, there aren't coincidences. Maybe some people do, but I really believe in the magic of spirituality and how the universe connects people together, and how, kind of you can be predestined to things. And I don't know why I was in Germany. What's a black girl doing studying the Third Reich and going to Dachau, and what is that? How are you going to get a job with that? But the stars align, and you kind of everything kind of has happened very organically for me, and I'm still trying to figure out, well, why am I like this? Or how God, how are you going to use this, and how are you going to do that? All I can do is surrender and just open myself up to the universe. And even one of my mantras, because I just recently started going back to yoga, is open me up to new possibilities.
Mm.
Open, stretch me, open my spirit, open my heart to new possibilities, and I really believe that I'm going to attract what I put out there. I've read a lot of books, a lot of self-help books, because I had some trauma in my childhood. And, Wayne Dyer, I really gravitated to a lot of his writings. There's a spiritual solution to every problem.
Mm.
And so I really believe when you put good energy out, good things will come back. And that's how my husband and I operate. And people are really gravitating towards us. We don't know why does the same people keep coming back and back and back. And I guess it's because they can feel the energy. And there are other people out there doing what we do. Comedy, producing comedy shows and things of that nature. But there are too many good things happening for us. I mean, just opportunities falling out of the sky like manna, money falling out of sky like manna. And so I'm not operating in scarcity. I try to share the resources and share the opportunities, and I believe that they will come to us. But I will tell you, when my husband says this like several times a week, there's nobody in the country that's doing what we're doing. We're both young black people, we're married. He's a comedian, I'm a comedian. He can host shows, I host shows. We own a comedy club together. We had a reality show. It's just name another couple that's doing that.
Mhm.
And it's not to brag, but it's just to say, wow, we have something really unique here and we don't want to fumble this. We're working hard every day. And people, notable comedians have told us, your stage, comedian out of Detroit, Howie Bell, your stage is my favorite stage. I get on your stage and it's such an intimate feel. I say things and kind of create on stage, and I don't get that feeling anywhere else. And we're just so proud to be attached to the history of Harlem, the Harlem Renaissance, the rich performance history. Um, Harlem, as you know better than I do, we are culture leaders. We're the trendsetters. People really look to Harlem to say that's the center of Black intelligentsia, and so on and so forth. So we are more than thrilled to be connected to the legacy of the Schomburg, and really want to share that history with newcomers to the city, with people that maybe don't know about the rich history and everything that Harlem has to offer. And I'm just, since I was 16, I wanted to be in New York City. That's all I can say. And I'm just kind of pinching myself that I'm able to say, you know, I- I'm actually a voice in this community.
Well, we hopefully will enhance your voice as you will enhance ours, because that's the way it goes. Every time we connect with people, whether it's through Soul City, the Tourism Board, or any of those entities, it only works when it can be a win-win situation where you bring something and you take something and vice versa. So, Nikki, I'm again, you know, excited about what the possibilities can be as relates to our collaboration. Looking forward to really meeting Jamie. Even I did have a good conversation with Jamie over the phone when Phyllis was coming to your location, and you guys have a very good energy, because I got a very warm, and he made a couple of jokes. I didn't know he was a comedian, but I grew up with Red Fox, and sometimes my humor.
Party records, the age of the party records. Oh
Party
yeah.
records, boy. My dad, I was coming the house, no one's around. I put on these. I knew where they was hidden because I wasn't supposed to hear them, but I would, so that's kind of like what shaped me, and I am guilty of having that type of sense of humor. Sometimes people may not understand why I'm laughing at things that people might not be able to laugh at, but sometimes you got to laugh to
And
keep
don't we
it kind.
need humor? And doesn't our community need humor with
It's
everything that
healthy.
with everything that we've been through? And people have asked me the question, is Black humor different than white humor? And it's a loaded question, but it's almost like, is Black spirituality different than white spirituality? And of course, the Black church experience is different than the white church experience.
Right?
And so the Black humor experience is going to be different than
Of
other
course.
types of,
Yeah.
because our expression is very unique to our culture and to our history. And yeah, it's we need it. We need it.
And there are many studies. I have an article about even a smile. Smiling can be healthy, but laughing. I have a friend who does clinics, laugh yoga, where he just uh, do the and you got
I've
to
heard
do
of
it.
that.
And actually, if you do that for a period of time, it helps to allow for the body to circulate the fluids, and makes you alive. So there's something important about smiling too. I mean, smiles create a certain type of psychological and physical reaction in the body. Many martial artists would smile when they are at the face of the feet to allow for them to gain strength. So again, Nikki Sunshine, it has been a pleasure talking with you.
Yes.
Um, the Comedy in Harlem Club, I'm sure, will become one of my summer hangouts to kind of see some of the things that you guys are doing. And I would hope that through the Harlem Tourism Board, we can begin to collaborate on certain types of projects and things that are taking place. I know that with Soul City, maybe we might even do some shows or filming some things.
That would be great. And we need to hurry up and do these shows because Rent a Center is about to take all our furniture back. I have no idea how we even running this off of my credit score is a 422. So it's miracles happening every day. We put the keys in and say, we ain't been evicted yet. Well, praise the Lord.
Well, I think that all things happen for a reason, and if we can find ways to help each other, that would be a good thing. But more importantly, wherever you are, we can do things like this. So it's we don't necessarily have to have a venue. So thank you so much. I know that this has been kind of a difficult day for you. So for you to be able to take the time to come on, I appreciate that.
I could not let you down.
And look forward to maybe sometime in the very near future, maybe next week, to sit down and just map out some things that we can long term, short term to do to find out what some of the things that might be helpful for us on a mutually beneficial nature. So thank you, Nikki. I appreciate it. My regards.
Thank you.
And I hope all things happen well for you as well as health wise and the like. So, give my regards to Jamie. Hopefully, the next show you both will be able to come on. Okay.
Oh yeah, because we can't both be on at the same time because we'll start arguing and bickering, and then I'll have to choke him.
Okay. Well, nevertheless, I appreciate you, and we'll probably have Jamie on to see what see what he thinks about this. So
he's not as funny as I am, so I'm just gonna tell you up front.
Okay. All right. So thank you.
Thank you.
And we'll be in contact. And this is not going to be the first time that you're here. We're going to probably be doing a number of things together with Soul City and WCR, and you're already doing things with Harlem Community News. Appreciate that. So thank you.
Okay. See you soon.
Okay. Take care.
All right.
All right. And that is it for today. Wow, we're in the second week. Next week is the second Tuesday, and that's when we do our show with Charlene De La Cruz at Columbia University, talking about some of the business opportunities, not only at Columbia, but MWBE and the like. So thanks for watching, and look to see you next week. Take care. Bye.
This is Kia Rogers, and you're listening to Urbanology with my dad, Tony Rogers, on WHCR 90.3 FM New York.